obviously when I was really young, when I had started my programming journey, at that time I didn't really know what exactly is performance, because at that time I was focused more towards just learning the concepts. And I'm talking in this sense because any of you who might be right now just getting started with programming or specifically with web development, of course, I mean, the first state is that you have to learn and then you start building some small projects, right? And then you move on to the next part of, or the next segment, that is actually building applications. So initially I was really just thinking about always that, okay, like I just want to build a web application. I just want to go ahead and build like a React application and that's it. But then of course, when I got into a stage where I was not just building personal projects, but I was building, projects that were actually going to production and being used by hundreds and thousands of people. That was the time when I really got to understand the need for performance oriented applications. You don't want people to just keep on waiting for something to actually respond. So that was primarily the main focus at that point of time, but then it shifted as I soon realized that when you're building any kind of an application that has to go to production, that is having a user base, you have to be very you sort of have to be very careful about the performance, and that sort of seeps into when you finally start building projects, right? And you'll think about, okay, how to effectively use APIs, how to make sure that whenever you are creating any kind of an application specifically on the backend, that, we talk about DSA, right? This is where the main prominence of DSA or data structures really comes into the picture. That how can you optimize not only your backend, but also on the front end, you'll find some kind of important topics like memoization, those things which you'll find basically also happening in React.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, to add to that, I would say that it's hard to think about performance when you're starting off, right? You think, I just want to build this off and get this working, and that is a totally good thought. But as and when you grow up in your career, and I've sort of experienced this myself as well, that when you're building for wider scales, when you're building for huge scales like Indian e-commerce or other big companies out there, let's say stock applications and things like that, you really have to think about performance right from the moment go. And when I say performance, you don't really have to think what piece will you write in the actual code, but let's say a full-blown design which tells you, okay, what are the moving parts, what are the parts where the bottlenecks will occur. Let's say your API is the bottleneck, let's say your too many renders are a bottleneck. Those are the points that you should actually figure out before you actually jump into writing the piece of code and stuff. Writing, anybody can do, but figure out the design, figure out the moving parts, figure out the bottlenecks. That's where things would become a bit easier. And I would encourage people who are starting off, who are trying something, to just give that bit of time earlier on. Try to write it down, try to design something before jumping into just building out an application, writing components, writing stores. Try to design things, try to have building blocks, and that would help a lot in the overall scale, overall performance of the application. That instead of having it as an afterthought. So slowly that will come. Don't push it, but encourage your own building blocks to be there right from the moment go.